Hi guys, this is Keith here from the Upper Tier podcast, and I'm coming to you again this week with another Survivor Series themed top five. So this time around, it's going to be a underrated matches actually. Sorry. So this one is basically my top five of what I think is going to be the most underrated Survivor Series matches. If you have any in your own mind or any ones that you want to chat about, feel free to send me a comment down below, and I'll have a good chat to you about it because Survivor Series to me is one of my favorite pay per views of the year, and I love Survivor Series. From the old classic elimination matches throughout the years when I was a kid watching it was fantastic. Really, really good one to watch. I think Survivor Series, one like I said, one of my favorites as well. But yeah, feel free to send me a comment down below for your underrated matches. I would love to hear your opinions and have a good chat about it. So basically, my number five is I'm starting off with Shane versus Kane. In the ambulance match of Survivor Series, I think it was 2004, maybe it was 2003 time. Can't remember the year again. But what I do remember is I remember Kane winning, and he tombstoned him onto the floor, and he put him into the ambulance match. To me, I thought it was a very, very underrated storyline, a very, very underrated match as well, because I thought the two of them had fantastic chemistry together. They really, really gelled, the two of them. Even though Shane is not a professional competitor, he still had some phenomenal, memorable matches, and maybe down in the line, I will probably have a top five Shane McMahon matches or moments or something like that. If you want me to chat about that or have anything to do with Shane McMahon moments, please let me know. I will do that for you, no problem. But yeah, that rivalry for me was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. It was one of my favourites, and especially very, very underrated, as we're talking about right now. But yeah, so number four, I just writing it down here so I keep track of everything. Number four I have down is Cena versus HBK in 2009. Now this match was very, very good. I thought anything that HBK does is phenomenal, brilliant. Like anything he touches, he can even have a match with a broomstick. He's that good. But for me, this was a very, very good match and very, very underrated as well. I don't think there was many John Cena and HBK matches as far as I know. Could be wrong there, but I remember that HBK turned on Triple H at the end of that and started up a different rivalry as well. So a lot of people kind of forget about that match and don't remember that match either. So just another one to have a look at, anyways. Since we're in the road to Survivor Series, and we're building up to the event itself in 2 weeks' time, which I'm really looking forward to. I have to say, there's some stellar matches on that now. Yeah, sure. Let me know what you think, anyways, for that Survivor Series coming up, and have a good chat about that as well. But number three I have down is one of my favorites of all time, rivalries wise, is Stone Cold versus Bret Hart, 1996. Now, this was back when it was the number contender, the two of them were fighting for the number contenders spot to face HBK. And anything to do with those two was just magical. They always had a 5-star match. I don't think they ever had a bad match, the two of them, really. But I know this match really didn't really get a lot of recognition compared to the WrestleMania 13 match. The WrestleMania 13 matches everybody knows was probably one of the most iconic matches in WrestleMania history. This one I felt like a lot of them, it didn't really give a lot of love, a lot of appreciation, because if you're a fan of the business, or even if you're a wrestler coming into the business, I would highly recommend you to look at the actual storytelling, to look at the whole selling and everything to do with wanting to be a wrestler, because those two knew how to do it and knew how to do it the best, of times. Hence why they have a match that's in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, highly, highly recommend you, if you never watched that, to give it a look back in Survivor Series 96. Phenomenal, stellar match. Second match I have down is I have Survivor Series 14, which was the elimination match. Reason I have that down is obviously because Sting came back for that. But it's a match that wasn't really talked about, and it was a very, very good match. Like, you know, really, really solid, solid match. It was just basically Sting. It was the highlight of that whole thing, which rightly so, because it was his first time ever in the WWE. But yeah, if you have never watched that, or if you're new to the business, watch that, because it's a phenomenal, phenomenal match. Great match to watch. I personally, like, I'm an old school fan. I love the old elimination matches, more so than the war games. Like, the war games are good, they're fun, they're cool to watch, but I'm just more into the old, elimination matches from the 90s to the 80s and all that. They were great, even to the early 2000s. Just more traditional. But I have that down now. The first one I have down is, look, it's a well known match. Everybody knows about it. It's probably the most iconic match that everybody has talked about to this day, and it's coming up to nearly 30 years, which is probably the biggest indication right there of what I'm going to be talking about. Is the Montreal Screwjob match. Now, look, the outcome of the match itself at the end has shadowed over the actual match itself. I thought the match itself was stellar. It was just Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Those two were, like, just the best two in the business back in the 90s. And even though they didn't like each other back then, and they were not friends at all, and they both hate each other, they still had to be professional. And the two of them, when they're in the ring together, were just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think they ever had a bad match. They're known matches, obviously. Iron Man match as well. There was a stellar match, but to me, the reason why I picked this one is because the match itself was great. It was a great, great match to watch. It was just overshadowed by the ending of the whole Montreal Screwjob. Now, if you want to know a bit more about the Montreal Screwjob, Niall has put it up on his post to chat about that. Or we spoke about it last week as well, or probably a couple of weeks ago, and we chatted about that as well. And if you want to know a bit more, if you're new to the business and you don't know much about the Montreal Screwjob, I would highly recommend you to give that an old listen, or even watch it in a documentary, because it is very, very interesting, and it has a lot to do with the WWE history, and especially a lot to do with the Survivor Series history as well. But in my top five, anyways, and I have something special coming up for December time, guys. But I'll keep you tuned for that when they're closer to the time. Anyways, guys, I'll chat to you soon, and I'll chat to you then.